Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
All right. Greetings, all of you. I am Heneka Watkis-Porter. I'm host of the Entrepreneurial You podcast and, of course, TV show. And, over the last couple of weeks, I have been sharing as a replay episodes from the TV edition where I interview some of the most successful Jamaican entrepreneurs and sharing their entrepreneurial journey. So now we're back to, just recording the audio version for this show. And of course, last week, we had a lovely conversation with Bryan Clayton, and he is the co-founder of GreenPal, which is pretty much an online marketplace that connects homeowners with local lawn care professionals. And they're based in the US, of course. This week, I'm speaking with a fearless and highly accomplished leadership team coach, strategic advisor, and business guide. But of course, before you hear from her and I introduce her to you, let's thank our sponsor who has been with us very unwaveringly from the very get-go. Let's thank the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mahfood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Welcome back, and welcome to the show, those who are listening for the very first time. And of course, welcome back to all of you who have been, faithful listeners to this show, listeners of this show. Now, in today's episode, I'm excited because I'm speaking with Jess Stewart, and Jess is a fearless and highly accomplished leadership team coach, strategic advisor, and business guide with a lifetime of hard-won successes. Jess has been raised by a Marine Corps pilot on a cattle operation in the mountains. She learned the key ways to running an entrepreneurial company. Grit, hard work, and no complaining infused a work ethic in Jess that she lives and breathes today. Jess is devoted to helping other entrepreneurs, leadership teams, and companies run better businesses, and live better lives. Welcome, Jess. It is such a pleasure to have you on the Entrepreneurial You today.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So before we actually came on live, you're starting to talk about Jamaica and how you'd love to, to visit and so on. What do you know about Jamaica?
Nothing.
Wrong answer.
You guys have an amazing accent, so enlighten me. Tell me everything.
Well, right. I mean, we probably need to, shift the focus of the show. We could get into that, right? But in addition to the wonderful accent that we have, we have warm people, friendly people. Our culture is known all over the world. I mean, we're known for fashion or food or athletic prowess and, just so many things that come out of this little island. We're so tiny, yet we are, as we say, we little but with halawa, right? Which means our impact is great. It's phenomenal. All around the world, we are known for that. So when you decide to take a visit to Jamaica, Jess, then link me up, hook me up and I'll get you a little tour.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
All right.
It sounds great.
Absolutely. Now, in your bio, we mentioned that you are a Marine, raised by a Marine Corps pilot on cattle operations in the mountain. So how do you think that this unique upbringing influenced your entrepreneurial mindset and work ethic?
So it's the foundation of everything, right? So one, being raised on a ranch, being raised in that type of environment is, it's unique nowadays. Back in the day, it wasn't, but we were not your traditional kids of how we grew up. I mean, we grew up working hard. We had chores. There was no complaining. If you didn't do it right the first time, you got to go do it again. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it instilled a foundation in myself and my brother that help us succeed in what we've done today. And so, yeah, just that overall grit. It's actually one of my core values, and I do business with a Blue Angel team, and that's my call sign as well. So it fits me well, but it helped propel and launch me into my entrepreneurial journey, which was starting a company from the ground up. I started it out of my house, and I grew it to a nationwide company with 2 U.S. locations and an international division. And then I sold it very successfully. And I did it all in healthcare around technology. And it shouldn't probably have happened with how I was raised, because I was raised with, in the mountains and cows and horses and those types of things, not computers and technical platforms and advanced types of technology. So where I started and where I ended up is a very large gap, and it shouldn't have happened. But I think it was the reason it did. It was the foundation of how I was raised.
Mm-hmm. You starting a medical business from your kitchen table with just little knowledge in that field, no doubt it was challenging. So can you share some of those lessons that you learned during the early days and how they have shaped your approach to business?
Absolutely. So I live by a motto called "Don't just get it done right." And I think one of the biggest stories and impacts in my life was one where my brother and I were having to take miles and miles of snow fence and put it back up. So we take it down for the winter. And it was springtime, and it was time to put it back up. And this was an all-day job. And my brother and I fought the entire day, and we got done. And we both knew that we had done it half-assed, and we got done. And my dad looked at it and he said, "Well, guess what? You can take it all back down and redo it." And we did. So it was a long day. It was a long night. It was a long week. But right there, this is something that I work with my leadership teams on. It's something that I live inside my core. It's how I raise my family today. My husband and I is, don't just get it done right. Just from the sake of efficiency and time and money wasted, but just for the sake of reputation too. You're building that as you do things. So do it with your best foot forward.
Yeah, I want you to elaborate a little more on that, just because that is it's something that, many of us, we just want to check things off our list, right? But yeah. You have said it's not just about getting it done, but it's about getting it done right. So elaborate please on what that activity would have taught you and how ultimately it led you into, developing a leadership team and implementing world-class systems and processes, how that experience has shaped you going forward and working in excellence.
Absolutely. So it's easy, right? If I had just done it kind of half-assed, which I will say as a leader, I didn't do it right all the time. In fact, I stumbled and I made a ton of mistakes. Mm-hmm. But as I figured it out along the way, I always had that as my core, is let's not just get it done, let's get it done right. So we don't want to waste time with hiring the wrong people, doing something that we shouldn't, right? And I'm not saying that you need to be a perfectionist and you need to have everything methodical and calculated especially when you're getting started, but just get it done right. Meaning, like, put that stamp on it, so that you can continue to propel forward and people trust you. They want to do business with you because of that. They just know, hey, she's going to do a great job. We can trust the fact. The people that I surrounded myself with had the same type of work ethic. I think it's critical, and it's very, very important. Plus, it'll save you a lot of money and time.
Absolutely. And so now, you are now dedicating your life to helping other entrepreneurs and leadership teams, which of course is quite, admirable. As you learn, you want to pay it forward. As you've gathered and garnered experience, you want to pay that pay that forward. Now,
Yeah.
what is that inspired you to transition from being a successful business owner to becoming a leadership team coach, strategic advisor, and business guide?
Yeah, great question. So after I sold, I did at 41 years old, I sold successfully and kind of rode off in the sunset. But as I did that, I started figuring out that it wasn't good for me, and it was almost detrimental to my health. And I've always had a very successful marriage and relationship with my children, but I was home and around them for more than I probably ever had been in my career with nothing to do. And so my purpose was kind of gone. I had zero problem selling. It wasn't that I, was a control freak or anything like that. I was so happy to see the runway that the company had, but it was the fact that I didn't identify myself or embrace it as a serial entrepreneur and visionary. And when that mojo was gone, it was a big hole. And so my old CFO, who's a good friend today, kept calling me and saying, hey, I think you should really go out and kind of show leadership teams and other people what you've done, Jess. And so I did. And I became what I wish I would have had. And so I summarize it like this: is I struggled, I succeeded, and now I want to be significant in other people's lives. And I want to be significant in a way to help leadership teams scale. So what I do now is I work with large companies and their leadership teams, and I rope in and I help them scale. So I help build strategic design, and I help them execute on it. And I hold the teams accountable to climb that mountain.
I like that. First you struggled, then you succeeded, and now you are being significant in other people's lives to ensure that they get to the point and, living their best life, their full potential, having their team experience that as well. So Jess, what are some of those pain points or challenges that, you often encounter as a leadership coach when you're working with entrepreneurs and their teams? And how do you really kind of help them to overcome these obstacles?
Yeah. So I approach it in a 4-tier manner, right? Where you've got to have the right people surrounding yourself, right people, right seeds, doing the right thing. And then you have to identify what the strategy is. But before we can identify strategy, we have to have culture, and we have to codify it. We have to have it instilled in us, in our core. It's in our bloodstream. It's in our breath. Because if we don't, right, as Peter Drucker says, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So once we kind of nail that, we jump to strategy and we start figuring out how do we articulate that vision that typically is stuck in a visionary's head, and how do we bring it down to the ground for the team. And so once we kind of do that and get it out on the table and crystallize it, well, then we have to execute. And so that's the third is execution. And what I call kind of actually a team of mine does, but a battle rhythm is, how do you keep relentless repeatability going in that strategic direction and vision? And then the fourth component, and these aren't really necessarily in any order because cash sometimes is number one, but there's cash. And that's the true oxygen and profit to any organization, is how, determining that we have enough cash to scale, that you, the owner and the founder, are living the life that you deserve, by putting your neck out there and doing all the risk of putting the organization together. So I would say of those 4 things, my biggest things that I find and struggles in my team is the number one thing is people, right? You just got to kind of clear the obstacles. It's no criticism to some that are there, but you might not be a fit for the company anymore. The company may have outgrown you, or you've outgrown the company. So just being able to have those conversations and kind of clear that out and get right people, right seats, doing the right thing. And then the second is dealing with my leaders and my CEOs, and just kind of really helping them get out of their own way and making sure that, they aren't hamstringing or making the company unintentionally struggle. And that comes from self-awareness of what we are as leaders. And that was one of the biggest things and roadblocks in my life and my career, was when somebody really made me kind of just look at myself as a leader. And when I had to kind of pull my big girl panties up and figure out how to do it right. So,
yeah, as we as entrepreneurs, we get into business because a lot of times we say that we're chasing after freedom and we want a better life, right? So really, it is a goal that many entrepreneurs strive for. Now, in your experience as, the coach that you are, what key strategies or practices can entrepreneurs implement to achieve a better work-life harmony and overall well-being?
Yeah. People. Surround yourself with people that are going to help you execute on your vision, and make sure they're the right people. And those don't necessarily have to be W-2 employees. These can be 1099 contractors. I'm a big advocate for that, is that a vendor of some kind can sit in a seat, even on the leadership team. So surround yourself with people. And then you need to be having fun. You need to love what you do. If you don't, you need to gut check yourself. And then number 3 is cash. You have got to be making money, and you can't be afraid to make money. Money is like a 4-letter word in at least how I was raised, where we don't get to just publicly and just come out and say, hey, I love to make money. I want to make more money. I want to live this lifestyle. Own it, do it, and make sure that you have that in your optics, in your vision, and that it's coming. Because what I find is a lot of people love being an entrepreneur, love saying they own a company, but when I get in there, they aren't making money. Mm-hmm. So make sure you're making money.
Yeah. So talk about some of those, amazing transformations that you've witnessed while you're guiding entrepreneurs and their leadership teams to run better businesses, the impact it has had on their lives. Just talk about some of those transformations.
So I would think that, listening to my clients, I think one of the biggest impacts that I have on them is just really just kind of coming in and sitting next to the leaders, not standing behind, not standing in front, but just really just walking side by side with them and figuring out life from their perspective of inside their organization, but what really is their vision. I think that that's one of the biggest roadblocks that I have, is getting my leaders to articulate that in a manner that the leadership team and the people around the organization can understand. And it's really hard. I'm a visionary. It's really hard for us to extract it out of here and put it on the ground. So I would think that's one of the biggest breakthroughs that I have, is just getting that relief of when it's finally out and he or she's like, yeah, Jess, that's it. Okay, great. Now we just get the people surrounding this and we just execute. And that's really probably the other second breakthrough an impact that I make, is just helping teams execute. I take it personally that when the vision has been put on the table, it's my job to help them achieve those goals. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of a block and tackler and kind of helping clear the roadway of getting things out of the way so that they can achieve those goals. And that takes uncomfortable conversations. And I'm not afraid to, as I say, enter the danger to have those conversations. It just doesn't, I'm in a position now where I get to just tell them. So I would say those are the biggest impacts that I can make and breakthroughs, is once we get through that, we start scaling.
Yeah. Earlier I asked you about that work-life harmony, and that, people say a lot about work-life balance, which I know there's no balance, at one point there's one thing that is going to trump something else, given the season that you're in. So let's talk about personally for you, Jess, how do you balance, harmonize your business endeavors with your own family life, making sure that you're not neglecting the important areas of your life? Just leave some tips with us to maintain that fulfilling personal life while really pursuing your entrepreneurial pursuit and success.
And I have a ton to say about this. And I'm going to first start with just being a woman, raising kids, and that tug of war that we go through of wanting to be an entrepreneur, but yet having that, there's that guilt feeling of, oh my gosh, I want to be an entrepreneur here, but I need to be a mom, or I need to care for my loved ones. Not all of us have kids, or my partner might need help. Like, there's just that tug of war. And I really feel that my biggest thing to say is you can do it, and you can do it with balance and ease. And it's okay that you have to work. It's okay that you want to be an entrepreneur. And for me, it was my fun, right? It was my passion. It was my purpose, and it still is today. So I think to answer your question, number one, you have to identify what is your where do you find that balance, right? Where do you find that peace? Is it at work? Is it growing companies? Is it scaling companies? Or is it doing that as a part of it and then, living life as a human outside of your office? I think you have to identify that, and you have to become very self-aware of it. And then you have to just figure out how to balance that. For me personally, I started my company out of my house, and it was a little tiny mobile home. And I had 2 young kids, and I'm not kidding. I was typing on the keyboard. I had a phone to my shoulder, and I'm rocking a baby with my knee down in the little rocker. Nobody knew there was a baby down there, but that was the balance that I had to find at the time. And then how I disconnect and how I decompress through that is, come Friday afternoon, I kind of have a theme, and it's what I teach my leadership teams now is no internal meetings. You pick one day to not have any internal meetings, and you focus on your work life so that you feel more balanced, so that you can take the weekend off. I started doing this on Fridays, and I had no meeting Fridays. And it was the most beautiful, blissful day where if I was exhausted and needed to go lay in a coma for a little bit, I could, because nobody was expecting me, or I could just have a head down day and be ready for Monday. And I found that when I did that, my work-life balance became much more stable because I was able to disconnect from the office that afternoon and not check back in until Monday. And so it really brought harmony amongst my family, amongst my kids, especially as I started scaling and growing and traveling so much. The other part of what we did is we hired help that was not necessarily a direct replacement for me as the mom, but a nanny that would come in and pick the kids up from school, get the homework done. And by 5 o'clock, I was home. My husband and I were home, and everything was done. So I got to come home and enjoy the evening and not be so stressed about work. That was a huge thing that we did once we were able to afford to do that. So I hope that helps.
I'm listening to you and I'm smiling all the way. So for me, on a Wednesdays, like over the last couple of months, I decided that Wednesdays it's going to be my day where I just disconnect from phone, computer, everything. I shut down totally, and it's been bliss. But guess what? I've been doing this really, really hectic lifestyle. And recently I took on the impossible, which is to take my 2 nieces to take care of them. I mean, who would have thought that on top of all of that I'm doing, I would be able to take them on. They are 5 and one is about to be 3. And since I've done that, this is like about the week 3 of doing that. And I kid you not one of my assignments have had to be canceled because I've taken them on. Because here's the thing. I've found ways, like, for example, today I'm conducting this conversation in the office of my orthodontist because I had these conversations scheduled before, and now I have kids to take to school and stuff. I'm like, how am I going to get all of these things done when my appointment is this time on the road? But I make sure that I came in early so that I could get an earlier time, and they could fit me in an earlier schedule so I could do my 2 interviews that were scheduled for today without reaching out and saying, hey, I have to cancel, So yeah. It's about getting it done and getting it done right and making sure that you find a way to create this harmony, because you will get it done if you want to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And us women, hear us roar, right? I mean, there's we can do it, but you're exactly right. You just have to get it done and balance it out. And I love that you're sitting in the office there at one of your appointments. I think it's great. So,
absolutely. Even better than my office at home. You know what I mean? So yeah. I am loving it. I'm like, yeah, we're getting all of this done. And on top of that, school is usually out like 2 p.m. And today they were telling me, just this morning, they're telling me, it's 1 o'clock that you have to come today. I'm like, listen, I had prior engagements and I can't just stop in the middle of it. So I'm going to be there as quickly as I can, but all of it is being done. You know what I mean? So I love that. And that's what we do as women, as entrepreneurs.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
As we wrap our conversation, Jess, just kind of leave some final thoughts. You can connect what you do as a coach to you being an entrepreneur and also working with entrepreneurs. Just bring us home, in terms of what you want to leave us with today.
So love being on your show. Thank you so much. And I think that what I'd love to leave you guys with is just keep going, right? Don't be afraid of what I call the version 1. Get it out there, take a step, make a change, make it happen. You're capable of doing it. Man, woman, children, no children, like you can make it happen. Just like Heneka's doing today. What I do today is I work with leadership teams. And then I also, for my ability to work with kind of the ascending leader, is I have masterminds where I put a cohort of people together from all over the United States and teach content. And it's really, really powerful. So if you want more information on that, look us up. You can find our website at jess-stewart.com. I think entrepreneurs rock, and the world exists because of us.
So true. The world exists because of us. And you're also on Instagram.
Out there doing it. It would be kind of boring. So go make the world interesting. Put a dent in the universe.
Absolutely. Go make the world interesting. Put a dent in the universe. You have the book, Crack the Rich Code, Volume 8, which you want to share with our audience. Hoping we get that.
You can go on Amazon and look for it. Look for Volume 8. I am Chapter 3, but yes, I wrote a chapter in there with a bunch of other great community people. But Jim Britt and Kevin Harrington put that book together. Can't say enough. I was honored to have been chosen to write in that, and I give away some of my top secrets, just kind of on what I learned through my career path that really made a difference inside of my organization as a leader. So pick it up. It's got some great nuggets in it, as well as the other chapters.
All right. Awesome. And we've been having some interaction on Facebook and LinkedIn, of course, because you've not shared your details with StreamYard. We're not able to see the names. We're just seeing you as a user. So keep up the good work we're hearing. Keep up the good work, Heneka. And somebody else is saying they're truly gems of wisdom. So I totally agree. I concur with what you have to say about, wisdom, gems of wisdom. So thank you for stopping by on the live. And also the podcast itself will air in a couple of weeks. Jess, I want to thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey and your insights. You have truly an inspirational story, with the lessons you've learned being raised by a Marine Corps pilot and just your entrepreneurial journey that you've embarked upon. So thank you so much. I really look forward to hearing about more of your work and the impact that you continue to make in the entrepreneurial space.
Likewise. Well, hopefully I come to Jamaica one day and meet you in person.
Oh, absolutely. That would be more than fantastic.
Awesome.
All right.
Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Man. Thank you. And thank you, my peak performers, for joining me on this insightful conversation with Jess Stewart. Of course, based on the conversation, that her journey and expertise, they have given us some valuable leadership and entrepreneurship lessons. And of course, ensure that you can experience future episodes featuring more inspiring guests and with their wisdom. Subscribe to the Entrepreneurial You podcast on your preferred app, Google, Stitcher, Apple, whichever one. There are myriads of them that you can search for in your store if you've not yet done so, whether it's the Apple Store or your Play Store. Stay tuned. This is what I'll say for more engaging discussions and actionable insights. And if you're interested in delving deeper into podcasting or seeking out additional resources, then I invite you to visit HenekaWatkis-Porter.com, where you'll find a wealth of information through our blogs, podcasts, the books, coaching, etc., to enhance your journey. Thank you for listening. And for those watching live, thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next episode. And let's close out with according to the scriptures. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Proverbs 16, verse 3. Walk good.